Good afternoon. I'd like to call to order the March 30th meeting of the Capital Improvement Committee. Today we have Joe Ruma, Wayne Michaud, if you will, and Joyce Bakshi, and that does create a quorum. So we will begin. So anyway, gentlemen, what I have done is taken all the information we had and put it into a booklet form that we can present to the selectmen. What we have to do today is write our, what will be called a capital improvement plan. At its very basic level, like it says in the front of the booklet, the job of capital improvement is to, at a very basic level, is to put together a list, a program of short-term to long-term plans in a specific order. What needs to be done first, what is, what should have been done yesterday, what needs to be done today, what needs to be done tomorrow, to make that list. Given the parameters of what we're doing, and we have been working for almost a year and a half or longer.
Feels that way.
Yeah, it sure does. First thing I'm going to say is our committee has shrunk. Mr. Waterhouse was with us and he resigned, and Mr. McGurty was with us, and when he became selectman in town, he resigned. So we are down to the three of us and Selectman Kim Stacy Horn. So that being said, I'd like to go through. If you've had a chance to look through and put together what our plan, the plan we will suggest. We are only an advisory commission, so we can advise, we can suggest what we think after looking at this and talking with each department head, as we have, some of them more than once, we can go forward with this. So I'd like you to go to the first section of your book, and you'll see it says Town of Acton Facilities Condition Assessment. This is from a company called Bureau Veritas. This was a company that Mr. McGurty found when he was on our board. And in looking for companies who do this, this was one that he reached out to. When he left, I became the contract. And the next few pages here simply tells us what they do, how they do it. Doing more research, I found out that this particular company has worked in the state of Maine many times. They've worked with communities near us and far from us. Up until a month or two ago, they were working in Lebanon doing facilities. And, it's kind of like going to the doctors and having your annual checkup. They do an x-ray, you got no broken bones. They scan your head, okay, you got a brain. They do this, they do that, they do the whole 9 yards. And they do they have the ability to put it in a logical order. What is done first, what can wait, give you the years, and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. In some cases, they can even give you ideas of money, because this is what they do, and this is a very fluid time, however, so all of those things can be, particularly the money part can be subject to change. But that's what the company does. It's there to show. This does not say we hired the company, we didn't solicit a bid. This was information we got from them. They are an engineering concern, because there's really not one of us sitting up here that knows everything that you need to know to do a facilities exam and come up with real answers. I mean, some of us might know parts of it, but we don't know all of it, and we really need
Yeah.
an expert to do it. So,
It needs to be hired out by the town one way or the other, even if we did know it. I mean,
absolutely. And one of the big things with getting a facilities engineer in is I'm not saying this, it is just strongly recommended that you go outside your community to do it. You bring someone from the outside in to do it.
right.
And, and they meet, like they would meet with the selectmen and, with the capital improvement,
Just to try and keep a independent
but they try to keep.
situation.
Yeah, an independent situation, exactly. So, and as you see, an investment for this town to do multiple buildings, municipal buildings, fire department, transfer station, things like that, leaving out the school, by the way, it would be a $8,500 investment in the town. But that's a piece down the road. But even though it is probably a first step, first we have town meeting. So going on to the next section, if you would,
Okay.
this way.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Looking at monies that were available today, as we know them, according to our auditors, and from the last audit report, the monies listed were funds that were available. Capital Improvement Fund, 33,000. The Rec Department, 29,000. Dam capital improvements, that always reads so funny, 10,000. Bridge and culverts, 100,000. Now, those capital accounts do not include the carry-forward funds or reserve accounts. That brings the total of up to $1,014,832 that we're going to see in the upcoming budget. Some of the things that are in here since we started 18 months ago will be covered in this upcoming budget. Some things have moved forward that much. But the fire department, if you look at what we have from Chief Smith, it gives you the year and the capital equipment replacement values. And some of those are, and you can see engine 2 replacement for, only 10 and a half years from now is $1 million to replace that machine. I thought that was quite high, only to find out that, I believe it's Lewiston just bought, which is a city, not to really be compared, but their new fire truck did cost $1 million.
Oh, I bet.
It's very, in all, just note that the estimates came from the Fenton Fire Firefighter Inside.com, and they give us the life expectancy of these things. And one of the things, at that time that maintenance is worth more than the equipment is, you've gone beyond your time to replace it. That sort of thing. So if you go to the next page on that one of the things that's in there, and I know it's going to be on the budget coming up, is a mechanical power lift device. It is a device that when a person is placed on a stretcher, they roll it out to the AMBO, clicks on, it lifts it up and it slides it in so that our EMTs and paramedics aren't doing that. That lifting of a stretcher and putting it into the ambulance is one of the fastest ways to have EMTs and paramedics out of work with back injuries. That's one of their biggest problems. That mechanical pump is actually called Lucas, and it is a pump that does CPR. It's a machine. So you don't have to have people, pounding on your chest for
Oh, I know.
hours, as the case may be.
Been there.
Yes, exactly. Engine 2 needs a RY, year replacement year. They need a vehicle-mounted generator. They need equipment, extrication equipment. We've all heard of the jaws of life and things like that. Building capital, and this is maintenance, but because of the price of these things, and these are things that you won't see a price in here because, again, we don't know.
Right.
And, we weren't going to call 35 different places and say, what does it cost to replace an exhaust system? We're not at that point. But this says this needs to be done in the 25-26 year. Now, window upgrades throughout the building, a year away. New exterior stairs on the training building. I do have it on good word that that probably needs to be done right away, and it may be an in-house job. There are carpenters and people who work at the fire department who,
Sure.
this may
Just
be
need the
done
material.
in-house, right. The training building needs a new floor that can wait. Under immediate equipment needs, the phone system that they have, especially in the chief's office and in I believe the deputy chiefs, they cannot get messages on their phones. If someone calls and they don't, Chief Smith is not here, if you want to leave a message, wait till the beep, no such thing happens. It has to be answered by the front office, and they put a Post-it note on his door. So the communication is really lacking. So that, is like a $20,000 expenditure that needs to be done right away. Data and reporting software that is user-friendly. Again, Chief Smith knows what that is and what is particular to himself. They also need an in-house radio alert system. They have, I think, at least a half a dozen different radios from different places, and they need to be able to have that in-house, so it's not just confined to one area. The computers are pretty much outdated and should be replaced, whether it's in one fell swoop or
Yeah.
a few at a time.
I remember
And
the last time we discussed all this stuff, there was the issue of a lot of that stuff doesn't talk with the other town's equipment.
Exactly, they don't.
It creates a lot of logistical issues.
Exactly. So, not only because we're starting with this fire department, on our priority list, I think a starting place is the, fire department
Sure.
under immediate needs.
Now, when you say that we're not getting a price or quote for, because they're gonna potentially do it in-house with building that stairwell.
The building
that
the stairway.
staircase,
I believe
do
they
they
have
still
them.
need to procure funds for the material, or is that?
I believe they have that in their budget.
Okay,
Okay. I can tell you on the computers that you could buy a Dell computer, a very good business-level Dell computer, for $5,000. But I cannot tell you what software is needed and what the price of that could be. So, that has to come but I'm making that fire department the number one on our list, because I think they're, you know, a system, phone system. Knock that off for 20,000 right away. The next page after that, this is the things that I believe are going to be on the budget. This is the Lucas, the compression machine, and on the other side of that is the power load upgrade. And you can see Lucas is $19,605. Call it 20,000. The power lift is $25,182. Now, a lot of the quotes in here, what we do have to remember, because the fire department has to have its budget done by December, these numbers aren't going to hold true. You don't get quotes from anybody that last 9 months. You're lucky if they last 3 months. But it is a starting place. Okay. Now, the rest of the information in here is what was collected and given to us. It backs up all the numbers and what they're asking for. The sheets that in the back, these actually go out for their capital needs to the year 2050. Personally, I'm not going to worry about 2050, because if I happen to be around in 2050, I'm not sure, you know, what it will mean to me. So, but that is the fire department. Now we come to the municipality. In the municipality, actually on the next page, next couple of pages, are town assets, all right? There are some fire station assets in there, because even though it's a department of the town, it is the town, and the town owns that. So these are all assets that the town has. The thing with the assets that the town has, when there are things that you want to buy land and make a new municipal, hypothetical, a new municipal center, well, that could cost you in today's money easily 20, 30, 40 million dollars. You know, a bigger place, a bigger everything. It could easily cost that much. You're going to go to a bank, you're going to get a bond, or you're going to get a loan. The more assets you have, the better your standings are with financial institutions who are going to, you know, write these loans or in bonds for you. So this just tells us what they have here. This is also the place that some of the things under the town hall complex. We know the siding on the rear of the building is being taken care of. The lighting and the electrical has not been taken care of. You know, the lighting in here is not great. Demolition of the old, I'm calling it a gym building, that is actually the old fire department building. We know the update of the parking lot is in the queue right now. Now, the fire chief, one thing he asked for was paving of the fire department parking lot. And his suggestion was, why not add the two parking lot jobs together?
Right.
And maybe get a better price.
Yeah, I mean, all the equipment would be here.
Exactly, all the equipment would be here, and they could, you know, do everything together. This kitchen needs a total renovation. It has served its purpose well. It's lived a very good life. It has provided food, drink, and sustenance to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's been busy.
It's old.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's old. It needs to be. The bathrooms need to be upgraded to ADA standards. And while they are big enough, there are certain things that aren't up to standard in them. One of the things I found out was the toilets. ADA or code says you have to have an open seat toilet, not a complete rounded toilet or oval shaped, you know, the part you sit on.
Right.
Yeah, it has to be the open one. Small thing, but if you're doing the bathrooms over, they should be, I mean, what we have in there, even for sinks, are not, those aren't sinks that wheelchairs can get under, things like that.
In this review of the town hall by this company, they're going to go through and say, well, you need this for the bathroom. They're going to make suggestions thereafter? Are they going to tell you that this is what we recommend you doing? And so in other words, you have something that.
Yeah, I would imagine they
Oh, yeah,
would
that's
point out shortcomings and then
Yeah.
they would
Right.
point out suggestions
Yeah.
on correcting them.
Exactly. Exactly.
That would definitely be
Yeah.
within their function.
Now, I mean, one of the other things I heard, from the building, this building itself, is it takes about a half an hour to get even warm water in the bathroom. So that obviously is something that needs, but again, these are just surface things that we were able to find out.
Sure.
And they are not from an engineer, and we need them for an engineer. We did have, if you remember at maybe our first or second meeting, the town treasurer feels that this complex will be outgrown in the next 10 to 15 years. And that's a multi-million-dollar project, and that really does need to be done, you know, by people who know
Sure.
their business. Okay, the land use department. And I'm putting the municipal properties as number 2 on our list. The land use I'm putting as number 3, just to have a starting place, and then we can move them around. They need badly need an updated filing system
Yeah, I
down
remember
there.
that was one thing Michelle brought up as well when we had her here,
Yes.
is that they're pretty well out of room.
Oh, totally. And the land use secretary needs to be applauded for the job that she is doing down there. She is doing an excellent job. The other thing they need to have is, they all need integrated computers. They need 3 at least. They talk to each other. They need programs that, an example would be if Jason was out, you know, doing an inspection at your house for some reason, he could take his tablet or whatever he has, boop, 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 you know, input the information, here's your, you know, sign off on the job,
Yep.
and it's back here already. And the secretary can look at it and say, oh, okay. And, you know, it's immediate.
Yep.
And he could most definitely use that kind of hardware help, if it were. You know, between he and Ashley, I believe, if I've gotten your name wrong, Ashley, apologies, are doing quite a good job. You know, they're both new, but they're doing quite a good job getting in there and making it work. She's really something else. We're very lucky to have her in town. Behind that, you're going to see a list of assets, partial assets. We've got, you know, the town hall building, the school building, the Lincoln School, fire department, ambulance, the salt shed, I'm calling it, Joe, Public Works Garage. There's a salt shed and the garage. Is it called the Public Works Garage? Is that?
Well, it's always been where they store the D6 is what, that's the other thing I ever.
Okay.
And from time to time, they used to store the front end loader during storms or whatever in there, or real cold weather.
Okay.
So it's, apparently it needs a new roof, so it's leaking.
Okay. We still have the gym building, whether it should be torn down or not. We have, I believe, still 2 large generators. We have one at the elementary school, and one, I believe, is still in Pete Smith's barn.
Didn't they take a generator to the,
To the school?
no, to the junkyard?
We have no way, I have no way of knowing that.
Ask Robin Ham, because he did it.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether it was the one in Pete Smith, I don't know where it came from.
See, we haven't had a capital improvement committee for so many years that.
I know.
We can, okay.
We haven't had a lot of things for some
Well,
years.
so we've got the D6 dozer, and we have 2 sanders down on that property, the sand
I
shed
think,
property.
yeah, I think one is derelict in the sense that they've taken parts out of it and somehow they didn't want to use it. And,
Well, and it has a junk value, a scrap
it
metal
does,
value.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think a decision should be made if there's, usable parts should be removed and stored and then scrapped or whatever.
Right, right, no. Then we have the list of real estate owned by the town. And, you can look at it. The first one is crossed off. That was a piece of property on West Shore that was put out, I guess, for bid and was sold during this past winter for, I believe, $45,000. So if you go to page 5 on the real estate side, you'll see that we have total building exemptions of $6,249,193. That's the corrected amount, taking out the West Shore Drive property. So we're standing on quite a bit of assets here, and you understand that this has nothing to do with other monies we have, except what's in the very front of the book. So, going on. The transfer station. Anecdotally, we were told that the wall at the construction site dump, that wall needs to be repaired.
Yes, they probably replaced it, I'm not sure.
Or replaced.
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
Didn't they put that in the budget this year?
I haven't,
I think
we'll
it is.
find out tonight.
Yeah.
We'll find out tonight. Okay. A good thing would be to create a new exit road using the existing old road. You could easily put in a gravel road. And that would take care of a lot of the traffic issues. I think for those of us who are here, are year-rounders, and we're used to going to the dump, and we know, 1 minute we're in the UK, 1 minute we're in the US. We're going to drive on the left or the right or whatever. But boy, it's really confusing when our summer people get here.
I mean, at a minimum, I think a decent paint job with some arrows to help.
Exactly.
Would be at a minimum,
Yeah,
that would be cheaper than
right.
road work, but it's something.
Yes, I think so. It has been talked about. It's just a little open on the road right now, because I believe there's still an ad, we're looking for a superintendent up there. So that's still open.
There was a possibility when they were going to work grinding from the orchard to past the dump to up by Doyle's and redo that road and then widen out.
A turning lane?
Yeah, a turning lane, I think you have to sit down and talk to Will in the sense that if we expand or enlarge that entrance, pull that fence back so it's not right there, and made it more of a visibly, and so that you can use it safely. It's like you come out and of course this summer is a good example with the COVID restrictions.
Right.
The hazard involved in it, so
Right.
it's a major thing. So if you take that down, go down to the bottom of the hill where the old exit is, and
Right.
incorporated that in the expansion, and tied the whole thing in together, because you're gonna have a lot of cut. When you're cutting the fill there, possibly use it to build a new road.
Right.
That
right.
goes, but you get an elevation
Yeah.
change, so.
That, Joe, I'm so glad you said that, because that's a perfect example of what the engineering company would say.
Right,
You know, you've got this old abandoned road. It's there. Nobody's saying you need to go in and hot top it and all that. Put in a good gravel road, and you've taken care of a lot of your problem. And a good paint job takes care of a lot more of it, you know.
yeah, but they get started.
But they get started. And don't forget, for capital improvement, this plan is like a 15-year plan, okay? It's know what the issues are, so we can start ticking the boxes
Yep.
and getting them off the table. Okay, the rec department. I've put the rec department as 5 and 6 out of all the things they need. Okay, they need a proper water station for the kids to get cold drinks. I mean, there's a well up there, there's a water spigot up there. There must be a way to attach a faucet. I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking. Eventually they're gonna need proper toilets, not the Johnny on spots. A rec director of recreation, that is on this year's budget.
Yep,
Some of this was done before budget season, so they could use a secure storage building. The parking lot needs to be done. That's something that's also being talked about, and maybe in the budget, I believe it is. And the rec department would love a community center building, which it just says, it says see below. And that see below is the rec department and capital improvement committee support the idea of a shared community center for the citizens of Acton. The ideal center would include 4 meetings and classrooms, a kitchen, a basketball/pickleball court, bathrooms, proper storage space. The uses really are unlimited. Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, the Owls, the library, the rec department, the citizens of Acton could really use this. When this was put together, we looked at a cost of $5 to $10 million, because one of our neighbors to the north was in the process of going through building a community center.
yep,
And they went, I think, from 2 to 5 or 7 million, and it was shot down.
yep,
For transparency, it was shot down. So the change was made. This could be a $10 to $20 million project. And I did not, and this was my thing, so you guys agree, or we'll change it, we can disagree. A target date of 2030. 8 to 10 years, we could have a community center in town.
Would this be located on the rec field or in that?
That would have to be looked at. I'm not sure that there's enough room there for it. And I believe to encompass all the things that the building could be in the uses, it would be better off being in this particular area of town where we are right now.
No, but I'm just saying that in 8 to 10 years, if this building or this facility either has to be upgraded or replaced, and you needed this facility too, you need if you had one piece of land, it's the maintenance of the thing.
Right.
It's the security of the thing, and there's a cost of building the whole thing, and
Yeah.
parking and stuff. So if you have 9 different buildings doing 9 different things, and it's 9 different snowstorms and 9 different heating units, and it goes on and on. So, I mean, you can look at the the evolution of every major city, just even Sanford's a good thing, they got everything scattered. It's not that they did that on purpose, it's just that's the way it evolves. But we have a great advantage now because we've seen the explosion of different population areas and what we can do as a small municipal.
So maybe we can put this with when the town gets evaluated for potentially having to move to another property or whatever
Yeah,
happens with
well,
the,
tie
when we
it in all
expand
together,
the town
yeah.
hall.
Yeah,
Tie those two projects together so that when they build that facility, maybe it can be incorporated because like you said.
you're talking big money. I mean, you're talking a lot of money.
Right.
Right,
But we're
but-
talking about why would I'm not sure that it would make sense if you're talking about outgrowing this facility by
15 years.
2032, 2033.
Yeah,
And you're talking about trying to build this for 2030, it would make more sense to me to save that, try to start saving money to do one big project
yeah.
instead of one project and then hope in the
Oh,
next
yeah.
couple of years you have enough for your town hall.
Even if you acquired the land, Wayne, and you had, say, 6 or 7, 10 acres,
Right,
and you only needed, say, an acre for this facility here, and then the parking and stuff,
right.
you could expand, and just, as long as you had the extra to
As
the...
long as you have the land,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
There's a town, I can't think of, it's right over the New Hampshire border, right, go there. I can't think of the name, anyhow, they have a beautiful complex, they have the town hall, and then they have a gym, and they have everything, it's like one big map.
Right.
I'll take some pictures on next time I go down there. And it's just amazing, but it's well thought out, it's well planned.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm not saying the town is wealthy, but they had a lot of industry. And they have a lot of people thinking about the future of the town, and that's what's gonna be needed. You know, I think that we've all been lax or something, this is a small farm country town, you know, but it's becoming, as we've seen in the last 18 months, urbanized and changed, and the needs are becoming
Yeah.
different.
So I think that that's probably best is to try to lump those together,
Yeah.
so that way this project would be a very well thought, it's on the back burner, but it needs to be really getting planned,
No,
so that
it
when we
needs
get
to
there,
start, yeah. Agree. So we're all in agreement with that we should put these together. Not that I believe I'm preaching to the choir, but I don't want to be singing the same song.
Sure.
But here I am. That's what an engineering firm can look at and tell us.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's exactly what they
That would
are
be a part of it.
able to do. They would put a report together that would say that.
But we wanna make sure that if we're gonna put priority forward, we
Yeah.
lump those two things together, so
Right.
that way it's on their
Radar,
horizon and radar when they
yeah,
do their assessment to say, hey, well, this is what we want you to be thinking of when you have this project in mind.
yeah. So,
So now I think we're to.
now, the roads.
Roads.
The roads. The culvert on West Shore Drive is being, it's in the chute. It's moving forward, okay? That, I would say, not picking on West Shore Drive or the road committee, but it's a perfect example. Will is doing an outstanding job with moving this along. We talked about it for years and years and years, and it just, it was built in 1998 with a 20-year lifespan. If you go over that bridge/culvert, you can see with big, huge, rusted-out sections of it underneath. I mean, it needs replacing. It was only built for 20 years. Well, we're pushing,
Yeah, it's on borrowed time.
it's on borrowed time. But what we have to do is not every job has someone like Will who is willing to keep pushing that ball forward. And I think that's one of the things that we might put in our recommendation, that for the projects that are down the road, that we have, whether it's town manager, selectman, or a special committee or subcommittee, to make sure that any project is moving forward. Doesn't mean it has to be built, but it is
Monitoring.
monitored. We know someone's looking, oh, wait a minute, we've got this on the books for 6 years from now, but we haven't done anything for 3 years. We need to, make sure it's going. And I think, Joe, that's something you've said in the past. Things just don't move forward. And that's what we have to do, is make them move forward. So, okay, so I'm going to write that up for you guys, so it's like that. The road bridge needs to be addressed.
Has anybody approached we have to approach Milton as well as that other fellow with the prefab,
Mr. Bean,
Mr. Bean, yeah.
yeah.
So we have to
As far as I know, nobody has approached
do
Milton,
Okay.
and so...
Well, I mean, they talk about it, we're gonna, this and that, gonna, I think that, the thing is that if you could designate somebody to go over there and talk to whomever would be the road agent.
person.
It would designate you to talk to somebody else. It's gonna be a whole thing and to at least find out what's said. No, we don't gonna spend any money. We just built a new firehouse and we're gonna build a new school or something. We're not spending money on that bridge. It goes nowhere. It goes to
Right.
Acton. And then you find out right then and there, they're not gonna give you. Let's say, yeah, we're gonna pay for half of it, we can't do it until 2030.
Right.
So then you have an idea of what to do, and then if you want, I honestly think if Wakefield had pursued this, and knowing these guys over there, they're, I'm not saying they're hustlers, but they get behind something and they keep going.
Well,
They don't just talk about this, that, and
we just said.
they carried the ball, and, they almost like said, well, we'll put up the money and deposit, and
Well, they
we'll
did say that,
wait
yeah.
till you guys have your town meeting,
yeah,
But they wanted to get it done, they wanted to get behind them, and,
Right.
there's a lot of talk about it, and it's, it's been done, and, there's a lot, my concern, there's a lot of stuff, rocks falling in the canal itself, and trees down and stuff, that should be addressed, I don't know if that's the state or the town, or.
Yeah, I was curious about that also.
yeah, I think,
There's a couple more fall-ins
If
in
that
the-
keeps going, eventually, say if that got blocked for some reason, and that water flow was blocked, and then it caused.
We get a problem. yeah, I just heard about that today, and, I don't know if it's Wakefield side or our side, but somebody needs to go, and both go and look at and
Yeah.
take
Well,
care
it's
of it.
also a federal water too, that goes into the Piscataqua River, it goes into, right down the boundary of Maine and New Hampshire. So I imagine the federal government would be involved in it, and
Really?
well, yeah, that's the beginning of the Salmon Falls River, which goes to Rochester,
Right.
goes into Rollinsford eventually, and Dover, parts of Dover,
Right.
and it goes,
Well,
it
isn't
ends
it
up,
the-
when you go
Salmon-
into Portsmouth, across that Piscataqua River.
Yeah,
It's
it's
to the
into there.
left, to the left is the. what-
Isn't the Sand Falls the water source for one of the small towns?
I would
down there,
imagine
too?
Rochester, yeah. Well, if it isn't a direct source, it's into the aquifer.
Yeah.
You
yeah,
follow me, which
right.
is, and it's there, it's,
Well, again, that we need some sort of an ombudsman that looks at these projects and makes sure, number one, they're completed as they should be, or number two, they're moving forward as they should be. Otherwise, it's a waste of time, So, anyway, in the roads, everything from the road commissioners is right behind it, what they've asked for. Some things were some things have changed.
Yeah,
I-
it's been done.
Have they been done?
Yep.
Some things have not. I know the Ridge, Acton Ridge District 1 project, that Acton Ridge is paved, and that's done. And he has it listed as 2021. So before we turn these over, we'll just cross that out and, go from there. But,
That's what I did, Wayne. I told the road people to write down the next 5 years, what you'd like to do. We don't have the money to do it, but what you'd like to do, so then we have a list of stuff that we know has to be done. And rather than saying, the whole town's been run like, oh, we're gonna work and do this here, or we have an emergency this year, so we gotta drop that funding and do this emergency, and it's back and forth. What we're trying to do is trying to focus in on getting the town in some sort of cohesive direction where people know what's going on, especially with the money. This is your money, this is my money, this is everybody's money. And it is our town, and I think that, taking any sort of responsibility of which way we're headed, it's
chilly in here. Yeah, I.
And organizing
absolutely
it the way we're organizing it helps to helps to negate some of these
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's the
emergencies in
direction
fu-
we're
you know.
headed, and people say, well, you get.
It can, not, it
no,
won't
so
cover
you're
everything,
pushy or
but
something.
it'll
They
help.
don't realize that it's been drifting around and it's kind of a municipal quagmire, and it's not criticizing anybody, but it's time to
It
step
is
up.
what it is,
Step up
Yeah.
and get things headed in the right direction.
right. So just to go forward, I think one of the things on the road needs that I have not heard talked about is in the salt shed, the condensation leak and the electric wiring. That doesn't sound like a good thing to me. If you've got lights in there and wiring, but you've got water leaking in it, I always thought that was not a good idea. So I might put that on, one of the priority lists as well. If we go on now to the final department is here. This is the school capital improvements.
Yep.
And the very first one is the second boiler. That is on their budget for this year. That's a $65,000 thing. Their kitchen freezer is chugging along. Unfortunately, it's chugging. So that needs, there's nothing saying that might not go this year. But this is the 22-23 budget, so,
Yep.
Those things. The dishwasher probably has another year on it, so a 23-24 budget would be fine. Then we have their wish list, and the list behind that is exactly from them.
Okay.
The one thing that this really, to me, highlights is if you've watched or been at any of the budget workshops and things like that, we have money that can be spent in certain places. I am not the expert to tell you where it can be spent, but COVID money and things like that.
Yep.
And we have other monies that the town has accumulated. And I think, and if you guys agree with me or not, I would like to see a capital improvement fund with a minimum of $200,000 in it. Not a fund that will be reserved for whatever, for the roads, for the school, for this. They have, like, the school will have their own, but not, okay, we have $200,000, but we can only spend it on this. I would like no restrictions on it. This is a capital improvement fund. If something happens, we've got a fund that we can go to.
Sure.
And,
Well, usually they have a special town meeting, but this undesignated fund, isn't that the same, wouldn't that be the same thing? Or you can't,
I'd have to ask Michelle, the treasurer.
it looks to me like, are we a million,
$1.2 million, is it?
richer or?
Yeah.
Whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah,
From the ARPA fund, yeah.
yeah, okay.
But I think we need to have and,
Yeah, it's not really a discretionary fund if it's specified that it is meant for.
right. exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, if we needed
It's broad enough.
200,000, couldn't we get it out of this undesignated fund and since the Jibber town meeting say, we need $200,000 for X and this and that, and the money's there?
Well, if you look at this though,
I did look at it.
yeah, I know, but you look here, they're putting, so they want to put so much of this money adding up to $1 million.
No, I saw that, I know.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, after the appropriations, it looks like anticipated use that commitment. It looks like the balance after this commitment is the 1.2 million.
Yeah.
Put aside, and seeing 1.2 million, put aside 250,000.
Okay, but isn't the 1.2 an undesignated the same thing as money that's there available? It just has to be designated? In the sense that, okay, you have a major, whatever, you have a problem for $200,000, you got the money there.
Yeah,
I think that's the whole thing that the people have been questioning over the last 10 years, is you have all this extra money in the treasury, and it's tax money, and are we being overtaxed?
No, it's definitely something to.
You know, I mean,
It's
are we-
something-
should we
it's
keep the money in
something-
our own pockets, and if we needed something, we'll raise our hand and say, okay, I'll take it out of my pocket and put it there, instead of leaving, to
well,
the,
it's something to look into for sure. But I would think that is something that we could, as you called it, it's there. Yeah, I mean,
I need to do it to you, but I do have to.
Yeah.
pull off.
yeah, you know, and we need to have it where we can use it, I think, without a special town meeting. You know,
yeah, but who makes the decision to use it too? If you don't have people who are qualified to be spending money and they're just going, there it is, it's just drifting around too.
not really. Most money, the town makes, the people of.
I know,
make the
but there are
decisions,
times
but-
that maybe that's
But, I
not
mean,
true.
Joe, take any hypothetical you want. You know, because you were sitting here the day a lady came in and looked at me and said, I hit your car. Okay, my car's been hit twice here. Okay, somebody's coming down here, they don't hit a car, but they hit the building.
Right.
Remember, that happened to Claire Bragg. Someone drove right into her building. We need to do something, right? And we don't I mean, you have a special town meeting, you do this, you do that, it all takes time.
Yeah.
All of it takes time. Well, we need to do something today, because this happened or that happened, and, go from there. So I think if you are in agreement, I will put in that request. And going back to this first, where it says there's a capital improvement fund with $33,000 in it, I would ask your permission and our conclusion to request that that be up to 200,000
Yeah.
or whatever.
I think that's fine.
So you're gonna take that out of tax,
Now, no, nothing out of taxes, out of what we have already.
I mean, out of the undesignated?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah.
but put
Oh, I
it
see
in
what you're
capital
saying.
improvement.
Yeah, earmark.
Across the board,
In other words,
earmark.
you're earmarking it, just like all these other things here.
Right, right.
All right.
Joyce, I gotta head out.
Yeah, we've got to drive carefully. You got 28 minutes.
Yeah. Speed safely.
Thank you very, very
We'll
much.
see you later, Wayne.
We'll see
Watch
ya.
out, the black flies are coming. We'll be sending it up to your part of town.
So, is it possible for you to be here next Wednesday at 6 o'clock?
Shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, I'd like to present this. So if we could meet at 5:30 here, because then I'll have the corrections, and each one of the selectmen will get one of these,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Work for you, Joe? 5:30 next week?
Send me an email,
Yes,
please.
I will. Thank you.
All right.
And
Bye, guys.
it is
What time?
5:35.
No?
I am going to say, Joe, we're adjourned.
Yes.
Thank you
We are
very much,
adjourned.
and thank you, ladies and gentlemen.